Guys, welcome in. This is another episode of the Train to Win podcast. I'm your host, Blake Bernard. Tonight, we are met with the wonderful, the fabulous Mr. Mike Green. Mike was an accomplished, is militarism no, it's not. Man of war, I don't know. Now he's just a man of God and does really cool things with one arm. Guys, this guy's phenomenal, okay? Mike, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you're about.
Well, I appreciate it. First off, phenomenal. I'll take that. So I did a short time in the military. I did 3 years. So it obviously had a lasting impact losing an arm, but I always tell people I did more time in high school than I did in the military, you know? Whoa. So even though it had a big impact and I'm very proud of it and still fairly involved in a veterans organization, stuff like that, it's not what defines me. Like you said, man of God, I think is more aptly defines me these days, and father. So that's kind of my little bit of background. I grew up in Bakersfield, went to BC, Cal State, and then after that, I worked for the veterans nonprofit for a little bit, Wounded Warrior Project. And during that, I met a lot of people in the mental health profession who were licensed clinical social workers. Mm-hmm. And that immediately, I'm like, hey, this kind of sounds cool. And, you know, get you a different level helping veterans. So I pursued that and went and got my master's in social work. And I didn't even really know what social workers did at that time. Mm-hmm. I'll just be honest. I kind of thought of them more as like community based, and then found out that they make up, or at least at one point they used to make up, they still may, the largest population of mental health professionals and therapists. So they make,
dude, social work is such a broad profession, you know, like I didn't even know what the heck they were until very recently when we started going through the foster care system, right? And then you're like, dang, these guys are kind of like pulling the strings, like part of the glue that ties together the fabric of a lot of kind of what goes on in America. Now tell me this, man, why is it that you say, I know so many guys, veterans, that their identity is largely wrapped up in like whatever branch they serve for, whatever tats are on their forearm, whatever. And I mean, let's face it, it's almost like the team you root for, the team you played for, whatever. You said you did cooler things in high school, though. Why is it that your identity is not wrapped up in your time that you served?
I don't think necessarily that I did cooler things. I spent longer time in high school. So I think my identity is not there. And I had a teacher, a professor in grad school, and he was like a retired colonel teaching a class at USC. And I wrote a paper, and in one of the papers, I'd mentioned it, and he'd said something about, that's not what defines you. I was taking, at this point, I'd switched to the virtual academic center to finish grad school. So I don't even think he knew I was missing an arm, because it's just your headshot, like Brady Bunch style in a virtual classroom, you know. But when he found out, and he's like, and our military past doesn't define us. This is a colonel that was in for 30 years. I was in for 3 years. But I think it's just it's kind of people who hold on to their identity and don't really have a new identity. People that either they were that stud athlete in high school and they never went and did anything after that, or their military service. And some of them, you know, spent most of their lives in there. So rightfully so that's still their identity, but that's not my identity. And my wife even gives me crap. She's like, you're the most unpatriotic veteran I know. I'm like, I don't like going around flying my veteran flag. I'm very proud of it, and I am. But right now in my stage of life is being a dad, being in ministry, and that's where I'm at in life. And anytime I'm around those guys, it's just like we never left, and I love it. And I'm going to go to Hawaii on a veterans trip with an organization called Soldiers Undertaking Disabled Sports, and they do all sorts of things, but they kind of started off with just scuba. And I learned to scuba dive with another organization down in San Diego, and then went on a couple events with these guys. He's taken me to the organization. I said they're called SUDS, the abbreviation. They took me to Cuba. I went to Puerto Rico, dude, and now I'm going to Hawaii next week, and everything's paid for. And
poor you, dude.
I know, right? And I'm not paying a dime. I'm not paying for my flight. I'm not paying for food. I'm not paying for lodging, to dive, nothing. I'm gonna be sitting on a boat for a week there, and in Kona, Hawaii, and just living it up, man.
Well, tell me this. So I'm a licensed scuba diver as well. Haven't been in forever. Don't ask me about my dive log, okay? But I know how hard it is to sometimes, like in choppy water, or when there's a super, maybe like an aggressive current, you know, the things that you can't see from the surface, but you get down and you're just getting rocked, right?
Yep.
It's hard enough with two arms. How do you make that work with one, not getting blown into rocks and stuff like that?
Well, you clearly haven't dove in a while. I just took a refresher course, and you probably didn't know this. You're not supposed to use your hands. You're supposed to just kick gently and
yeah, they say that. I know, but when you get close to like the reef and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
I know. So, you know, I think it is just like with anything in a, I don't want to say stressful situation, because if you make it stressful, obviously you're gonna panic and run out of air or do something stupid. But it can be stressful if you think about, hey, I'm 90 feet under the water, and if something goes wrong, I can die really easy. But I think it's just a matter of just chilling out. You know what I mean? But I obviously I use my hand too, like I said, because I literally just took the refresher course. I haven't dove in like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So I'm a little nervous about it for like maybe the first time since I learned. But
Wow.
yeah, just staying calm, man, you know, in any stressful situation. Again, I don't know if it's stressful, but it can be.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, tell me this. Did Jesus find you? Did you find Jesus pre, post, during military? What was the thing?
Yeah. So I was raised in and out of the church. And I remember meeting someone at church and we're like, oh yeah, we're about the same age. Well, yeah. How come I don't know you? You've been going to the church your whole life. I was like, well, because I was in and out of the church. My mom was battling drug addiction. So she would get sober and we'd be like back in the church and we'd be there every Sunday. And then for months or maybe even years, we'd be out. But the seed was planted and all of us,
Yes.
all my siblings, and we know the Lord. So it was definitely pre, but my part of my testimony is I was that lukewarm Christian for years. I would still drink and not that I don't think you can drink and be on fire for the Lord. I think getting drunk is more appropriate. I should say I was still getting drunk. And finally one day, actually here in Bakersfield, I showed up to Cal State when they had the campus. So this was 8 years ago or so. I was like, I want to do something more. I want to stop just going to church. I want to be involved in church. I want to help out. I want to be there and be accountable. And I remember showing up hungover. And I'm like, what am I doing? So not that I had a problem with alcohol, because it was easy to just say, you know what, this is not that important to me. It was just kind of the social norm and what we did. I said, I'm gonna quit this. And I stopped drinking altogether for a little over a year. Like didn't even have a beer. And now I will occasionally, but I don't get drunk. And I think it was just something, like I said, to stop being that lukewarm Christian and get in a relationship with God. And that was the difference of showing up to a Bible study regularly, being accountable to a ministry on the prayer team or wherever that was, and just having that relationship rather than being that guy that just sits in the pew. And then when church is over, take off. And that's my relationship with God. You know, the rest of the time throughout the week, it's non-existent, you know.
So Cal State happened after your service?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All my college was after.
Isn't it funny that like I call it like making room for Christ? Like there is a finite amount of room in your soul. I truly believe that. And like there is no vacuum, there's no void. It says like, you know, if you're gonna in order to take care of anything spiritually, you got to tie up the strong man, right? You got to chuck him out. But then if you let if you let stuff back in, it multiplies, right?
Yeah.
So there is no void, there's no vacuum in your soul. And I think that like the Lord totally honors all submission, like in a big way. Laying down something like drinking, he did the same thing in my life. I drank to get with girls and to like forget about stuff. You know what I mean?
Just to get fit in socially.
100%.
Let loose, whatever.
But even as a married man, the girls thing was out. But now I would drink around my family so I didn't have to deal with in-laws. It's the same crutch. You know what I mean?
I get that.
And that sounds ridiculous. I know there's some guys out there listening that know what I'm talking about. Okay?
No, yeah, of course.
But I didn't see there was anything wrong with it, because I go, okay, I'm not doing it to sleep around, be a cool guy at the party or anything like that. I'm doing it in the presence of family. The Lord convicted me about it one day. I dropped it, and wouldn't you know, it accelerated my walk with the Lord faster than I think anything I've ever done in my life.
I bet, dude. You know, me and my wife both said this, and again, not that we were these raging alcoholics, but just being involved in a ministry. And I've heard this said from our lead pastor. It's like he's always said, you know, I don't think the Bible even says it never says it's a sin to drink. Now, to get drunk is another story. But my wife and I, just even the norm of growing up and seeing my dad or mom or uncles around at a party and having a beer, like I don't want that. I want that to be the exact opposite for my son to say, what's that guy's got a beer? And not that he's not going to see it, but as far as at our home gatherings, he's never going to see dad with a beer or mom or anybody hanging out at my house. That's part of our lives regularly, you know. You
know what's crazy though? The thing that, like, and I know that we all talk about, like, we want to do things better than our parents. The thing that I'm making a point to do, and my kids are way too young for it right now, but when they ask about it, I'm gonna be really brutally honest with why. Because my parents weren't. It was just something we didn't do because we were Christians, you know. There was nothing like relational with Christ about that. And I was like, dude, I just love God way too much to do that. I know it grieves Holy Spirit, so why?
Well,
you
kids appreciate that too, man. Kids, especially when they're old enough to understand, they appreciate an explanation rather than just, nope, this is why, because I said. They appreciate that, you know, and they can receive it better too. And they're going to receive your actions better than your words if you're following what you're saying. You know?
100%.
You can tell them 100 times, but if you're not eating clean, if you're not staying sober, they're not going to do it, right?
Dude,
eat that piece of chicken and broccoli, but you're, you know, getting down on some crappy food. It doesn't look like that.
I had my birthday my wife and I have our birthdays back-to-back days, and so we had a lot of cake in the house for a week, and like a week later I'm trying to like make sense of the stale cake. I'm like, it's still good, I can eat this, and my daughter's like, Dad, what are you doing eating all this cake, man?
She's calling you out. Dude, I love it.
I was like, oh my gosh. I just threw it away. It's anyways.
It's like, all right, thanks.
I have a problem.
Thanks for getting me.
That's right.
That's funny.
So tell me this. Okay. We were talking about identity stuff and what you find your identity, Mike Green, in. Okay. It's obviously not what you were doing, and probably the thing. I think humans need a tribe. So obviously 100%. You had a flag to fly. Yep. Right.
Yep.
And I think it's even more peculiar that you found Jesus after. The minute I started focusing on Jesus at 20 years old, I stopped caring about football. I played out the rest of my years to get like my education paid for and all that stuff. But I skipped my pro day, all that kind of stuff. It's a well-known story. Just because like I wanted to start just focusing on the Lord, become a family man, all that stuff. Was there like a latency period between you letting go of the military, or having it grabbed from you rather, and then finding Jesus? Like, how'd you feel that?
100%. So it was, I was really young. I was 21 when I lost my arm. So I went in the military kind of to escape the environment I was in at the time at home. And then when I got injured and started thinking, oh, what am I going to do when I get out? I really don't know. I always wanted to be a police officer. So that was in the back of my head. Obviously losing an arm, I'm not doing that now. I even talked about re-enlisting when I was in before I got injured. And a friend of mine said, do 15 months in Iraq and see if you still want to enlist. But I think it was getting back. It was a lot of growing up. Like I said, still getting drunk. I think it was just stop at one point. I don't know if there was a defining moment, but it was maybe a culmination of all the years of just being that lukewarm Christian that would occasionally pray, occasionally go to church and say, you know what, I'm sick of this. I want to have a relationship with God. And that's exactly what I did. There's a big difference between knowing who God is and knowing God. Yeah. You've probably heard that expression, but that's kind of where it was. And I don't know that there was a one defining moment rather than just a bunch of them, of just being sick and tired of playing church, rather than actually having a relationship with God.
I think a lot of people listening would be able to relate to the whole playing church thing.
100%.
I love that phrase because it's like we were all a kid once. And we all like kind of, the word talks about, like putting on a facade. It's like a play, you're carrying out a script. It's like, this is what Christians should do, kind of a deal. Not because this is what I want to do out of conviction for what the Lord's done for me.
100%.
So tell me what it is that, like, how does your life look now? Contrast that to what it did look like.
We make decisions. We move differently on really big decisions with Consulting Lord. We're thinking about something really big right now, and we're praying on it together. My wife was just recently came to know the Lord, and really just it wasn't me pushing on her at all. I think it was just her seeing God in me and going, well, he's coming back from this Bible study filled up, and he's so excited about this, and he's going and helping out at church and doing this. Like, I want something. I remember asking, she's like, you want me to do that? And I'm like, if you want to. I never one time said you should do this or you should. I wanted to say that, but I knew that's probably not going to get her there. But yeah, it's a lot of different ways, man. The biggest thing is running our house and just how I am as a husband, how I am as a dad. And I want to take that. I've had some really good leaders around me, both in the military and even when I worked for a nonprofit, really, really good leaders. And one of them that comes to mind is my lieutenant while I was in the Army. He was a man of God, not surprisingly, because he led in that servant leadership style, like Jesus. It wasn't the guy that was on the top saying, hey, go do this, go do that. He was there doing it with you. He wanted to learn with you. But more importantly, he wanted to be there with you, developing that relationship and having that servant mentality that I'm not better than you, even though I'm in this position. So I'd say the biggest thing is probably just how I lead my family as a unit. We're supposed to be the leaders of our house, and mine is really heavy dependent on the Lord.
Phenomenal, man. So tell me about fatherhood, because we talk a lot about this at our Thursday morning Bible study, right? You got kids, how old?
I got a 4-year-old, my biological son, and my nephew, who are in the process of adopting, is 9. He'll be 10 next month, next month in May.
Phenomenal. It's about 5 years apart.
Yep.
Okay. So you said you wanted to change how your house was run. Was that hard when wife wasn't on the same page?
No, because it's not like she was against it. Mm-hmm. She just wasn't, she didn't grow up at all. Like I grew up with a seed planted and would go to church occasionally. So a lot of the stuff was familiar with me. I knew the concepts of even hey, this is the Old Testament, New Testament, something like that to a new believer. What's that?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So little things like that, but no, her morals were for sure there. And, I think she went to church and stuff like that with me, but it wasn't until the last 2 years when she made that decision, and my son's 4, so about halfway through his life, that she said, you know what, I'm gonna get saved and get baptized, and she's involved in ministry now and helps out in the women's ministry. But yeah, I don't think there was any conflict there because her morals were still probably really, really in line.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So then how does your walk with Christ now affect you as a dad? Because I know that that's like my number one, I think it's what I was put on this earth to do, man. Yeah. But we still have jobs to do. We still have a job to do with our wife, be the best husband we can be. Balancing that at times can be really tough. I think that probably the thing I lose most sleep over is probably parenting, because I want to make sure that I'm like stewarding things, these awesome little things I've been given the right way. I know you're the same way. Explain how your walk with Christ kind of has molded you as a dad.
Well, the one thing I told my wife, I said, I want our son to be running around the church. I want him to be running around the stage when service is over or before, because we're there early or we're there late to putting down. I said, I want it to be so normal. He knows the people by name, including the pastors, and he does. And we, without even knowing we were in what we were praying for, my wife and I the other day, he was running around church or something. He went up on stage and he knew one of the pastors' names or something and ran by. And my wife she looks at me, she goes, remember what we were talking about, what we're praying about? She's like, we're doing it. And I was like, I just kind of smirk at her and I love it. And another good advice I got from Pastor Tom Touchstone was when his daughters, raising his daughters, he said, I know at one point my voice is going to get lower and the volume's going to get turned down. So I wanted people in their lives for that volume to be louder, that they're listening to and influential. I wanted that person to be a man of God or a woman of God, and praying that in. So that's something that part of my daily prayer for my children and for my nieces and nephews, for that matter, are that they have godly men and women, friends, best friends, coaches, mentors, and youth leaders around them. So I'm praying for that every single day, that they have those people in their lives where my voice starts getting lower.
100%. That's a really powerful prayer, man.
It is, dude. It is.
You know, you're going to have to trust some coach, some teacher, some club leader, whatever, with your child. And man, even their best friends and things like that. So I should probably get on praying that too, man.
Yeah, I know. That's the one someone said that the other day, and I was like, dude, that's a good one, because they're going to get that one or two just really tight best friend, and you want 100%. Them and their parents to be. And dude, being involved in the church, that's another thing, man. We've really developed a relationship with about 5 or 6 families. And we say doing life together, and we are doing life together. We're going on vacations, our RVs and stuff like that. We'll get together with them. We do Bible studies and let the kids go play. That's a big thing, knowing that these people have similar or the same morals and values, and they're praying in front of them, or dad coming in. Are you going to Bible study again, Dad? Yeah, I am. They know that. Just that's already a part of the regular everyday life, and it's really cool, dude.
It's so interesting, right? Like I think that it all starts with like how you raise your kids, and then you don't have to worry about their friends.
Yeah.
Because if they can sniff BS like as well as you can, like it's probably going to work out in your favor. I always said, like, so my firstborn was a girl, and all my buddies were like, dude, I'm so sorry, your life's wrecked. They didn't have kids, and I'm like, they're like, are you scared? I'm like, not really, because like if I just show her identity in Christ and like it's not attached to men, and if I don't give her daddy problems, I love her with all my heart, I think things are going to end up pretty good, Now the conversation I hear a lot is like, especially with all the weird stuff you see in the news, it's like, would you let your kids go and have a sleepover, or that kind of stuff
that we grew up just
those
normal.
Are weird. I know. Those are real parent conversations though now. And I'm like, well, obviously you want those things to happen at your house. But regardless, I think that if I have a positive impact on my child, it's not that she'll avoid, but she won't ask. There won't even be those things coming up, those invitations with the wrong people. You know what I mean? But exactly. I totally believe it, man. I think that we should start praying for those things as fathers, that praying for the people in their lives. It's a humbling prayer, but also one that, man, you have little control over it as it is. Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool to see the Lord move in that way?
Dude, it would. And what you said is exactly what my wife and I were having this conversation either today or yesterday. I think it was this morning, actually, and we're talking about when Aiden gets a teenager. I said those moments where it's going to be, we're going to be talking about sex with them or talking about drinking. And I said, obviously, I don't care how you raise a kid, they're never going to be perfect. It can be the preacher's kid or just anybody's for that matter. And I said, but exactly what you said, I hope that the people that we've surrounded him with and the lifestyle that we've shown him, that he's able to make the good decisions when those opportunities come up to fall short or to fall into drinking or sex or whatever it is. I said, and we had that exact conversation, was I hope that at that point that we've instilled enough of God in him that he already knows how to make those decisions, and he's already talking to God because he knows how to do it because he's seen it.
At 9?
No, not at 9. No, not the 9-year-old. I said when he's a teenager.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, later
100%.
down the road. Way later down the road. No, I'm thinking like at a party and something comes up. No, not
he's
now.
way ahead of
For a 9-year-old, yeah, I hope.
Shoot, in high school, he'd be out of the game. You know, I'm like, dude, if my kids end up half of what I was, I'm like, oh, man, they need a lot of prayer, man. So tell me, you're also, you roll, so you're in jiu-jitsu, and you're also at the gym. So how do you make that work with your current predicament, man?
So the jiu-jitsu thing was really cool, dude. I had a guy from church that I asked him one day, I was like, hey, what are you up to on this day or whatever? I forgot even why I asked him. Oh, I'm going to jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, you're going to jiu-jitsu? And I'm like, you know what? I've wanted to do this for a long time, but being a one-armed dude at that time, I was 39. I was like out of shape. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm gonna try it. Well, you know, I've seen a couple of videos with this dude that had, I think he had an impairment on his arm, but he was doing it. And I just walked into a jiu-jitsu gym and said, hey, this is the story. I got full range of motion in my residual limb. You know, everything else works fine, and let's see what we can do. And the coaches, I started at DEF CON Jiu-Jitsu, which is a great place, and the schedules just didn't work out, so I switched over to Eric Nolan's. But both coaches at both places have been really good because it's something that they can easily adapt and go, okay, hey, you probably won't be able to do this, but I got something for you. They always got these brown and black belts, always got something up their sleeve. You know, just ask Roman, who we do Bible study with. They always got something else if this doesn't work, and if that doesn't work, 10 other things. So it was just getting in there and doing it, man. I was on a podcast a while back with Steve Southers, and he said the hardest part about going to the gym, or the hardest step, is getting off the couch. Something like that. That's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. They say the hardest belt to get is your white belt, which is what you get walking in the door.
Man.
You know, and I took that, and I haven't been going as much as I really would like lately. But my goal is to do 2 or 3 times a week. And I just get in there and improve, man, and every time, and have fun and get my butt kicked a lot. But it's really cool when a dude walks in that's, you know, got me by 30, 40 pounds, clearly stronger than me, you know, got all the limbs. And next thing you know, I got his back choking. Like, how did this happen with this guy? You know, I was rolling this dude the other day, and it was pretty funny.
That's so
the new guys are always fun. Even the big, strong guys that have no wrestling background or grappling anything, they're like, what just happened? You know, they're always surprised. And I was too, when I rolled with a female, it was like 90 pounds for the first time, and just hit a sweep on me. I'm like, all right, I got to learn this. But then the gym thing, man, just kind of came with that too. I was like, you know what, I'm in jiu-jitsu. I'm getting in here. I want to get strong. And I was really flaky on it. My mindset was different, but then I completely changed my diet up the last year and a half, and lost about 25 pounds. I wasn't even trying to lose weight. I just wanted to clean my diet up and feel better. And in the process, got down to almost my boot camp weight. And when I was 19, and then I said, you know what, I want to do some strength training. I've been in shape a couple times in my life in the military when I was younger, but I've never had my diet follow, and I've never had the discipline that I do mentally now. So I'm like, I want to see what 6 months will look like, what a year will look like, and continued of strength training. So I've been really focused on just straight up strength training. I'll do a little bit of cardio, but really it's just walking at an incline. That kind of seems to be the fad these days rather than running, because my knee, I got a small tear in my meniscus and some thing called a plica band, which I'm not even really sure what that is, but my knee just acts up. So I just do 30 minutes of walking on a treadmill. That's my cardio. I'll do that 3 or 4 times a week if on a good week. And then I'm strength training 3 to 5 days a week, doing upper body 3 days a week, and lower body. And I've adapted a couple of things. Seeing Instagram, that's the awesome thing about the internet. Instagram and all these other platforms, where I just do an ankle cuff over my residual limb, and I'm able to do chest stuff. I'm able to do back and lat pull downs. That's kind of shoulder stuff on the side, and just even if I can just hit it twice on that side. So whether it's like a chest fly on the cable machine, and then on one of the exercise machines, hit the back stuff. That's really good for the machines are really good for that. But it's been really good, and walking in there and just being comfortable in your own skin. I'm not that strong. We're around a bunch of dudes that are just ripped, and the first time walking in, it's really intimidating. Then I get in there and I'm like, I'm throwing out this ankle cuff on my residual. I gotta stand out, even if they're not staring. You know, they're looking up like something you don't see every day. You know, but it's just getting comfortable in my own skin, man. And I've been working out consistently for about 4 months now, and I don't notice much of a physical change as far as how I look. But I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, my chest, I'm starting to get a little muscle, and just I'm feeling good, you know. And I'm actively feeling stronger. I'm going out there like working out with a 70-pound dumbbell. Like I remember when I was getting that in bench press, and like it's struggling. Now that's like, you know, workout weight that I can throw around. But shoulder's been giving me issues. So I told my wife, I was like, I'm not letting that stop me. I'm not gonna push through the pain type thing, but I want to stay consistent with this, whatever that looks like. If I have to adapt with that, I'll roll with it and do something else. But
interesting. What shoulder's been giving you issues?
My left shoulder. Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's my form or went up. Like I grabbed a 85 dumbbell the other day. dumbbell. I was like, yeah, I can bench this, no problem. I'm hitting it more than 10 times. If they say that, you want to move up, you know?
100%.
But my shoulder's not agreeing with us. I'm like, man, maybe I'll just kind of max out more on the reps or something like that, rather than trying to go up in the weight. Just trying to go to failure is what I'm trying to do. So if it's a little bit lower weight, same thing with my residual limb. But yeah, I'm trying to do it smart, man. I'm 40 and I want to be strong and I want to look good. That's kind of my primary motivation now. I'm not going to lie. I want to be strong and I want to look good, but I also want longevity. I want to be rolling with my boy when he's 15 or my nephew, when they're older, and say, hey, you want to wrestle, dad? Or you want to grapple? Let's go. Like that's the idea behind it.
There's a lot of research being poured into the study of epigenetics right now, and one of the topics I'm just so fascinated by is this development of, you've heard of like generational wealth.
Yeah,
they're calling it generational health, where like literally the things that your kids and your wife even sees you do, just because they live in the same household, it's just osmosis, right?
Yep.
It can literally change their DNA.
Oh, dude.
Maybe not to the same extent, like as if you were like this all-star college athlete, then conceived them or whatever, but it can literally change them, and then it changes their kids, and it changes their kids. So it gets passed on. It's generational.
I have a video. I don't know if they can show it or if we plan to show it here.
Yeah.
But
well, we're going to get into that. The trap bar video?
Yeah, what I was going to say, lifting this. So exactly what's in line with what you were just saying.
Josh, can you pull that up, man?
My son comes and I just want to try something out. So I strapped it on and I'm just going through the motions. Well, my son, you can't see, he's off video to the right in the back of the bed of my truck, and he's going, go daddy, daddy's strong. But he's seeing this, and I work out sometimes. I'll just do quick leg workouts out in the garage and do some like aerobic stuff, just in sessions, just try to get a quick workout in. He gets to see that, dude. And exactly what you're saying, man, that's really cool what you're talking about, just the study showing that. It makes sense, man. It's like they're gonna monkey see, monkey do. They're gonna follow what their parents are doing, So if you're sitting around being lazy and not doing anything, they're probably going to be too.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
That's the norm.
Tell me more about that strap, though. I want to know about this thing. I'm sure that all pulling exercises would be rough if you're strapping in. It's like going to be height specific, limb length specific. Like how long does it take you to get strapped into this stuff? Josh, can you play that one more time, man?
So this particularly, it's kind of annoying because it has to go around my like my upper chest, and then it has to move around my shoulder, as you can see there. It's actually, once I get that part on, it's really quick. It's just a little carabiner, and just wrap it around that part. So I don't know of many exercises I can do with that particular thing, because it's like you said, it's just pulling a deadlift, maybe some things with symmetry with dumbbells or kettlebells, something like that. I've seen people doing like one leg bent over squats or whatever they are. But more what I do is just a simple ankle cuff that I put on my residual limb. And again, I'm probably limited to that too. I'm just doing chest stuff, and then I'll try to hit it at an angle, shoulder and back, and that's it. But even that muscle there, I think it's your lat, that muscle back there. I told my wife, I was like, I've never had that muscle in my life. Never. I've always been a skinny dude, and I'm walking around about 190 now. But I told her, I was like, I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm like, dude, where did that come from? And it's just because I've never had it. So my body's like, I don't know if it's just happening quicker or whatever. Like I've never done intentional strength training exercises this consistently, and my diet following it. That's the bigger thing. But it's really cool, man. It is.
The body's fascinating.
It is.
Okay, I have one question for you. When you stepped on the mat, do people take it easy on you, or are you like, hey, mess me up, dude?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I have to tell people, especially new people I roll with. Thankfully, there's a lot of vets in there and stuff, and people, once you get in it, they know. I still think some upper belts go, but they do that on everybody. They'll take it easy. But if we're doing a drill, for example, and it's like last man standing or something, you got to take this guy down or whatever, I'll tell the guys, don't go easy on me. And there's just like 165-pound coach in there that just trashes everybody. He trashes me equally or thrashes me equally. Dude. It's pretty cool. But I think the brand new guys that come in, I'll tell them that, and you can see them turn up the intensity, and then it's like, all right, I'll turn it up.
Oh, you're holding back that much?
Yeah,
really, dude?
Let's go, man.
It's like an insult.
Dude, it's so fun, because unless they have background in wrestling, I've rolled with a really big, strong dude that was a bodybuilder. This guy was strong, and I didn't get him, but he had nothing. For anything he got me, I was getting out. I didn't submit him or anything, but it's just fun, dude. It just shows you, like, you get 3 or 4 months of consistent training under you, and you're like, man, this stuff works. But yeah, some guys do it.
I don't see that stuff as a disadvantage, bro. I'm like thinking of all the ways that could be an advantage,
It's funny when you get a guy try to armbar this armbar, and then they'll start laughing, like the more experienced guys. Seriously, how did a guy do that? He's like, and he just starts laughing. I'm like, yeah, no, armbar there.
Oh, so it's like muscle memory. They just start going for that side, and he's like, oh, I got nothing here.
Well, dude, I got a fellow man of God and veteran missing both legs. I've been talking to him and said, dude, jiu-jitsu's for everybody. Obviously, there's tons of stuff you can't do, but there's also tons of stuff you can do.
Boom.
Got to miss him both legs. He's in. I was rolling him yesterday. The guy was freaking smashing me. He's been doing it for about maybe 3 months now. And he's a pretty big dude, but he was just smashing me in just that little bit of progress. And there's a lot he can't do, but he had arm bars I'm working out of and Kimuras and all that. I'm just like, dude, and he's been, I think, training for 3 months. It's just really cool. Like you said, what the body can do, man, and just keep going with stuff,
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, dude, I don't want to eat up all of your night. This has been an incredible, man. Okay, so
time's already up, huh?
Those videos, if you like what you saw from Mike and the one about the trap bar, there's way cooler stuff he's doing with all the cables, the machines, the way he's figured out a way to persevere through. And dude, not just persevering, I think is kind of like skating by, overcoming. Yeah. Like you're arguably better than you were, man. And now you know the Lord, like 10 times better spiritually.
100%, dude.
So why don't you tell the people where they can find more videos like that? Where can they find you on the interwebs, bro?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, stuff like that, just under Michael Green. I think my Instagram is abbreviated MCHL Green or something like that. But a lot of that stuff I found with just same thing, dudes on the internet, some of them veterans, some of them just accidents are born that way. And there's a lot of cool stuff like that. But I also play guitar. So, and that not tooting my own horn, but I'm pretty damn good at that. I need to get better to play with a band and get comfortable doing that. That's the goal, play with the worship team. But as far as just jamming at home, dude, I'm pretty decent at that. So if someone wanted to hit me up and learn, hey, how does a one-arm guy play guitar? I'd be glad to show anybody, any two-arm guitar, but let alone someone missing a limb, that you can still do it.
I love that. Before we wrap this thing up, guys, hey, this episode, it was brought to you by, Covenant Coffee. Okay. They're all about hope in a cup and providing opportunities to those who might have been without. They employ a lot of impoverished youth and those that came out of the foster care system, which I'm getting to know a lot better. Mr. Mike here is entrenched in himself. And so, no one has more respect for what they're doing at Covenant Coffee than we do. We thank you for their support of our show. Guys, this has been another episode of the Train to Win podcast. You can always find me at Blake Bernard Coaching on the interwebs, Instagram. My gym, Grindhouse_SC, is on there as well. Mike, until next time, man, thank you so much for coming on, okay?
Thanks for having me, dude.
Bailing me out of a late cancel. Yeah. This is good, all right?
No problem, man.
Guys, have a wonderful night.